Good evening, everyone. Come on, I know it's been a long time. Good evening, everyone. Yes, I'm the last speaker. I'm just going to say amen. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank the speakers who took a risk and were able to make themselves vulnerable in this space by saying that they were in recovery. And I don't mean this in a trite way. You know, I think we as human beings, specifically as Americans, we are all in recovery. There is a deep embedded issue in the fabric of this nation called unwellness. And it's been here from the beginning of time. We have elected unwellness in many facets of our nation, regardless of your political affinity. And so I think just to be very subjective, we have a way of not valuing our emotional hygiene. And we don't value our emotional well-being. We see that as something that's soft, right? We see relationships as something that's soft. It's hard to quantify relationships on a profit and loss statement. But we have a whole lot of folk in this country that are sick and who are sitting in high and low places and making decisions for other folk, which is how you get to racializing and engaging in criminogenic factors when it comes to why certain folk go to jail and other folks don't. So you know, if the tripod of human existence is what we think, what we feel, and what we do, then how we feel is as important as what we do. And what we do is related to how we feel. So we've already heard the speakers, I say the preacher, talk about the fact that we use mood-altering substance as a mechanism to change how we feel. So our feelings are important, right? That seems like a no-brainer, right? But if we don't really take that seriously, if we really don't take how folk are doing, how they're feeling seriously, then the doing is always going to be problematic. You get folk that do and disconnect the do from how they feel, we're in trouble. We're in trouble. So I would say one of the things, being a community leader, is, you know, Dr. King said that we are all intrinsically connected with an inescapable web of mutuality. What affects one affects everybody. So we are all connected to each other, and my wellness is connected to your wellness. And your wellness is connected to my wellness. And my unwellness is also connected to your wellness or unwellness. So if we got sick folk teaching well kids, eventually the well kids become sick. If we have sick doctors trying to prescribe medication to sick folk. So, you know, from a very subjective point, we are a sick nation. So maybe that doesn't sound too hopeful, right? but you know, I'm a believer in you have to get to the diagnosis before you can get to the prognosis. We're not well, and we see our unwellness really undergirding the very fabric of this country. And it's our lack of emotional stability, our not being in healthy relationships with each other, undermines our political ideology. It also informs our theology, how we shame folk, even in churches. So, you know, it's interesting that we can be in church and there are some AA groups that are more transparent than church groups. Because many of us preach a theology of shame. We just shame the hell right back into folk. Right? And that's not good theology. Good theology should be transparent. It should allow us to be vulnerable and get us to the point where we understand we're not so much human beings, we're human becomings. Human becomings. So we're on this journey towards wellness. At least that's what my theology, my understanding of God is about, that we are on the journey to become well. Because if you've been born 5 minutes, you're born into a nation that's not well, you know. And so you know, I would say that the, the, the real work starts internally. You know, starts internally. There's a great book written by, I think she's a Swedish psychologist, last name Miller, I think her first name is Angie Miller, called, it's called The Drama of the Gifted Child. The Drama of the Gifted Child. Get that book. Because it talks about, you know, much of what we see in our political landscape, I gotta ask folks, they must have had some messed up childhood. And I'm not trying to shame anybody, but when you see adults act the way they act, and say the things that they say, and you can render people disposable, something happened in that person's life. For us to consider that health care is an entitlement, something is wrong. I mean, that's something that's deeply inhuman about us. You know, so I think forums like this are important, but I don't think that we change simply by information sharing. I think we can only get to transformation by being in relationships where we are willing to be vulnerable, which means taking off the mask, right? Taking off the mask. And there are a lot of folk that are sick who hide behind titles and positions and power. And so I think by being able to say, you know what, we are all on this journey of recovery, that gives me hope. That gives me hope that my wellness is connected to your wellness, and your wellness is connected to my wellness, and we're in this thing together. We're in this thing together, which means when we're dealing with folk in our churches and our community groups, we ought not thingify somebody. Thingify somebody. We ought not just dispose of somebody simply because they don't look like us or they don't live in the same zip code, right? So relationship built on vulnerability and transparency is absolutely critical. So I want to thank the speakers tonight. I want to thank you for inviting me. And hopefully we can move on from here and then get to what we would call a discourse 2. Why some folk go to jail and folks get recovery, which we don't have time for right now, but I want to thank the brother on the stage for just, he preached my sermon, dropped the mic moment. But you know, you can't hide from addiction. It comes to us, we are all connected. We are all connected, so we have to address it as a human condition and not racialize it. Thank you.